This is the Mountainair Dispatch 2023 Candidate Interview Series. I'm here with Ray Sharbutt, who is a candidate for the Board of Education for Mountainair. Ray, why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about what your platform is and why you want to run for this office position?
To me, in a small community, the school is the center. It's the most important individual entity in the community. And I have my master's degree is in education. I taught school. I was certified kindergarten through 12th grade. I actually taught kindergarten and first grade. I also taught high school English and social studies before I went to law school. As an attorney, for the past 22 years, I worked for the 7th District Attorney's Office in Estancia, and I'm familiar with Mountainair. I've worked with Mountainair law enforcement, with Torrance County law enforcement. I know what happens when students fail in the schools. And we've had problems. I've worked with the drugs. I've worked with the Torrance County Drug Court. I've worked with the Torrance County DUI Court. I know the problems that come with substance abuse. And I would like to take this opportunity to share with the community my experience, my skills, my abilities, my training, and see if we can improve the Mountainair schools. Try to encourage the students to develop goals past high school. Mountainair has some really remarkable facilities for a school this size. And I coached football, 6-man football. The last game I ever coached was against Mountainair. And of course, at Hondo, we lost to Mountainair in the state semifinal football game. I also coached the girls basketball. And athletics is an important part of the schools. As a teacher and as a coach, you work closely with the kids, and I really appreciate the efforts of good teachers. Recently, we've had more and more problems with safety in the schools, and the Mountainair School District has approved the hiring of a school resource officer. And this is going to be important because we want to provide for our students a safe place that they can study, that they can feel safe, where they can learn, where they can have fun with their friends, and where they can feel safe with their teachers, and start developing the attitude that life is a learning is a lifelong process.
So when we talk about the uniquely good facilities that Mountainair has, and some of the good they have with respect to their athletic programs, let's also talk about some areas where you'd like to see some improvement in terms of where they're spending their money and what programs to focus on.
I've attended one of the Mountainair school board meetings, and I was impressed with the way that the school board handled the budget process. I've talked some with Don Apodaca, the superintendent of schools, and I really would not be in a position that I could comfortably discuss any specific areas that they need to spend more money in one area than another area. I don't think I have the background. I don't have the knowledge at this point in time that I could second guess what they've done previously.
Okay. And one question that I've been asking every candidate for all of the municipal school board positions is, we're faced right now with kind of a cultural watershed moment where a lot of school boards are working to ban certain books that are already in school public libraries. Is that something you anticipate joining in? Meaning, do you anticipate seeking to ban any books?
No. Education, to me, is a process of learning all you can about everything. And the more you learn, before I completed my education, before I went back to school, I worked in the oil field. We talked about experts. And experts were people who learned more and more about less and less until they learned almost everything about nothing. This was kind of a joke in the oil field, but it emphasizes the fact that as individuals, we'll never know everything about anything. But it should be a goal to learn as much as you can about everything that you can learn. And by limiting books, by limiting sources, that doesn't help anyone. We've tried burning books, and our society has always suffered when we limited our exposure to ideas.
Let's shift gears a bit. You mentioned in an email that you sent to me that prior to your legal career and your teaching career, you also worked for the federal government. What was that all about?
In the Army?
Yes.
I was, in the early 70s, I was a member of the Army Security Agency. I went to the Army Language Training School in Monterey, California. I was a Russian translator interpreter, and I served as a voice intercept operator. We were tasked at the time with listening to a specific unit of the Russian military in East Germany, and we gathered intelligence from that unit, and we provided that intelligence to the National Security Agency that handled all the incoming intelligence.
Interesting. And this is during the height of the Cold War.
It was from 70 to 73.
Okay. Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you'd like voters to know about?
I do have a master's degree in counseling, in education, counseling, educational psychology. There are some ideas that I have for the Mountainair Public Schools. I've discussed with our superintendent. One of the ideas that I would like to have is coming from my perspective as a prosecutor in the 7th District Attorney's Office, was working with victims of domestic violence. And we had several programs that we worked sporadically, once or twice a year, with the students to emphasize the ideas of what domestic violence is and what they can do. But I would like to try to work with the school to provide a program for victims of domestic violence. And I think that it could be incorporated into a social studies elective.
It sounds like what you're describing is a combination of both civics and restorative justice.
Right. Well, I wouldn't call it restorative justice, I would call it more of a anticipatory justice.
I see.
Students in schools need to learn how to thrive and survive in life. And they need to not just learn the lessons in the textbooks. They don't need to learn, not necessarily when I taught English, I remember one class told me they didn't need to know how to diagram sentences. They'd already learned that. I said, fine, let's diagram the preamble to the Constitution, and when you provide me with that diagram, we'll move on to the next subject. But they also need to know how to thrive and survive in life. And there are a lot of life skills that can be taught in the schools, and we need to incorporate that into our curriculum.
Sounds practical. All right. That's Ray Sharbutt. He's candidate for Mountainair Board of Education. Ray, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Appreciate what you're doing.
Oh, thank you.